Before we start, I just want to say congrats to the Blazers on a fantastic year. And, having played here for one season a long time ago, I've always loved this city, loved the fan base, the energy in this building. And this version of the Blazers over the last few years has been one of my favorite teams to watch. Have so much respect and admiration for Terry and his staff and the players. What Damian and CJ do as leaders and as a backcourt together, it's amazing to watch. And I know the city loves its team, and they should love this version of this team as much as any of them, because they're a great group. We had to fight and scrap. In the end, it's a sweep, but we had to scrap and claw for three of the 4 victories. So this was a lot more difficult than it may have appeared. So we're happy to move on, and happy to get a little rest before we have to play again. We'll open it up.
Gareth Burke, NBC Sports Bay Area. And going along with the difficulty, there are going to be people who look at this and see a sweep, think it was easy. What made it so challenging, whether it was the things that the Blazers were throwing at you or the injuries siphoning off your manpower? How did you guys persevere?
Well, our guys they've been at this for a while. So they know how to win. They know how to come back from deficits. And when you get this deep in the playoffs, you're playing against the best teams in the league. And, this backcourt that you're dealing with McCollum and Lillard, it's a nightmare trying to stay in front of them. And you have to commit help. You have to have a 5-man defensive effort. And that leaves you vulnerable in areas. I thought tonight they did their best job of exposing those vulnerabilities. Myers Leonard was fantastic, and they did a really good job of moving the ball. They had 31 assists, and our defense was shaky tonight, but we turned it up in the fourth quarter and in overtime and got it done. But it was an uphill climb the whole way.
Hey, Steve. Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. What did you think of the efforts of McKinney and Looney in overtime for you?
Well, I think they've both been fantastic all year. Looney has become one of our foundational pieces. He does this every single night. And I think one thing that we've seen in almost every series is as the game goes on and players get tired, Loon gets more and more rebounds. He just has a knack for the ball. Really long arms, great feel for the game. And so his rebounding, I think he had 14 tonight, bunch of offensive boards. Really a big key for us. And then, without Andre, we needed every ounce of effort from Alfonso. And, we didn't want to extend Sean Livingston's minutes. Played 21, which is already a high number. Up 3-0, going into tonight. So when we went overtime, we just decided let's give Zoe the minutes, and he came through in a big way.
Steve, Nick Friedel, ESPN. In this era, how would you put into context what it means to go to the NBA Finals for the 5th straight season?
I hope it doesn't go unnoticed or underrated. 5 straight finals hasn't been done since the 60s, since Bill Russell's Celtics. Hasn't been done for a reason. It's really, really difficult. And so I just can't say enough about the competitive desire of the group of players that we have here and the culture that they've built together. Playing together regardless of injury. We've had being without Kevin these last 5 games has put us in a really tough spot, and our guys stepped up in a big way. A couple of years back, we were without Steph for over a 2-year period. I think he missed like 12 playoff games, and we won 9 of them. So the group has a fiber to them where when guys go down, they find a way to come together and compete and win. Starts defensively. If you can defend at a high level in the playoffs, you always have a chance. But I just think the experience of winning titles helps you in these moments, and it helps you continue to move forward and come away with victories like tonight.
Steve, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Terry Stotts mentioned championship pedigree when he walked in here, and I wonder if you can kind of drill down into what exactly that is and the trust between your players, namely the great pass by Steph when he was trapped to Draymond for a three.
Yeah, I mean, I think the championship pedigree, what that means is not panicking in big situations and trusting your teammates, trusting what you're doing out there. I almost called a timeout halfway through that possession because it looked like nothing was happening. And, Draymond just did what Draymond does. He hits big shots. There's a guy who hit 5 threes in Game 7 of the finals a few years ago. When nobody else could make a shot, he made 5 threes, and he's not even a three-point shooter. So Draymond is just a big game player. Steph trusted him, and that was obviously the shot of the game.
Jamie Goldberg from the Oregonian. Steve, Damian Lillard obviously has been battling a rib injury throughout this series. What did you think of his performance against you guys tonight to keep the Blazers in this game?
Well, I thought he was great. I thought the game softened up when Myers Leonard started making threes. We had to make some adjustments, and as soon as we did that, Damian's eyes lit up. He started to see single coverage, and he got going. And so I felt like, he got loose, and it obviously made things really difficult on us. So he had a fantastic game. So did CJ. I mentioned, Myers. So they all had it going, but we found a way. And I think over the course of the game, it just gets tougher and tougher to make shots. When you're playing big minutes, you're going into overtime. And so our defense, I think, eventually kicked in. Our guys did a great job.
Front row, please.
Hey, Steve, Mark, Medina Bay Area News Group. Obviously, Steph's and Draymond's talent speaks for itself, but what makes them a unique tandem in terms of their chemistry together and their leadership approaches?
Well, they've been playing pick and roll together for 5 years, more than that, 7 years, I guess. And Draymond is an amazing playmaker, and Steph is so lethal that he's going to draw a lot of attention. So they have a real knack for working the pick and roll together, finding openings, and then attacking. And they're both great passers as well. So they're fun to watch. They're kind of made for each other from a basketball standpoint, and they've been doing this for a long time, so they've got a real feel for each other.
Front row left, right here.
Ethan Strauss, The Athletic. A lot of coaches shrink their bench in the playoffs, but in this series you really expanded it. What was the thinking behind that? Why that approach?
Well, we had to. When you're missing Kevin Durant, you can't replace Kevin with one guy. We had to replace him with 3 or 4 night after night, and then tonight without Andre, we had to find more minutes. So it was a good series for the bench. They did a fantastic job, and we I think mixed and matched and tried to find combinations that worked, and a lot of guys really played well over the course of the series, and that was a big reason for the series win.
Last question for Coach, anyone? Thank you.
Thanks.